Pacifica in Nusa Dua, Bali was something totally unexpected. The beautiful building is supposed to have an exuding sense of mysticism because of the artifacts that it has over there. And needless to say, I could totally sense that feeling of what the art was vibrating at this Museum Pacifica. So the galleries are aplenty. This is by Miguel Cervantes. Here are sculptures from the different places of the archipelago of Bali. Some are painted in Bali, some were sculpted in Bali. The artists had some connection to the island of Bali. The museum itself had some stellar artists who did portraits of the tradesmen of Bali or the culture. This one is the Mount Batur, the volcanic eruptions that once happened. And then the people of Bali. The people of Bali, all the Papua New Guinea, Sumatra, Java, or the 170 million islands that form a part of the archipelago, the country of Indonesia. So there is work by Europeans who lived in the archipelago of Indonesia or were simply inspired by it. They were French. This is the Tree of Life by the Indonesian artist. And the people, their celebrations, the vibrant culture that is so intrinsic to the archipelago, the islands of the archipelago, the treasure of the archipelago are themes of this exhibition. Emilia Sonorosa was also connected to Bali. This was her work. This is of a Balinese dancer by a beautiful artist from Mualdo. And there was Emilio Ambrin. All these people connected somehow with their scapes, peoplescapes or cityscapes or the celebration. The gallery itself has beautiful pieces of sculpture and paintings. Again, exquisitely stored, exquisitely curated, and displayed so very well. It's tucked away in the Nusa Dua area, which is actually known as an enclave of five-star hotels. So it's a gated community of five-star hotels. This one was essentially one of my favorite because of the vibrant use of strokes and the color by Ari Smith. I thought it was very beautiful. Reminded me a lot of the impressionist times of Van Gogh. She had quite a collection. The artist, Ari Smith. At the most Instagrammable portion of Bali is this gateway. It is untitled, this piece of art, but it is so gorgeous. These are a little more miniature paintings, but by the same artist, something bigger and biggest. He was apparently an architect, a sculptor, painter, and a recorder of his travels. There was a lot of art, and from the islands which are not so popular as Bali, there are a lot many islands of the Sumatra, Java, Borneo, which Indonesia, the island which Indonesia shares with Malaysia and Brunei. It was dizzying, just as my video is dizzying right now. It was absolutely dizzying, the amount of artwork that was found in the region. Inspired by the architecture, inspired by the festivals, inspired by people. Melvina Hoffman supposedly worked in and around Bali. Lions Attacking Arabs by Eugene Delacroix and Andrew Jean. And a bigger collection of paintings that completely inscribed a bunch of women playing, attending to their daily chores, or even enjoying the pleasantry of the beautiful flowers that bloom. And these are local exquisite crafts, which was scary, also means like the gods. These are the ones that are exuding the mysticism, and we will see a couple of more towards the end of the video. So the gear that people wear, there's so much to see. This, in fact, is what I was probably waiting to show you all. It's by an artist whom I absolutely loved, Theo Mayer. Theo Mayer made a lot of work in Bali. In fact, all of this entire gallery was for Theo Mayer. And quite frankly, he was my favorite artist of the gallery at the moment because of the use of colors and that sense of translucency in each of his paintings. The colors literally came alive, whether they were pastels or whether they were bright RGB colors. And the themes were so varied, Theo Mayer. And finally, these are this rug, which was quite a plenty, which was huge, so to say the least, was also in wooden sculpture, which goes all the way up. The street processions. Pencil work by an artist of Singapore, Jimmy Young. This was absolutely stunning. An exquisite work of metal, but so detailed and so deeply engraved. It was beautiful. And then these are the Dutch artists from the Dutch Pavilion, Dutch artists who had a connection to Bali, and they had a pavilion after them. Each of the archipelago islands or zones had their own pavilions inside this gallery, inside this museum. A lot like water lilies, what Monet does. And then this very graphic representation was from an artist who did Japan, Bernard Buffet. He did a lot of Japanese, and then he also did the Taj Mahal. Bigger pieces, bigger canvases, which included a lot of elements of Asia. The strokes are so exquisite. Andre, the artist, painted some pieces of India, the tusked elephants. Look at the frames, are so well done. This was Red Fort. It was a bunch of moments well spent with some relief work and some sculpture, some paint. Every frame, the way each artwork was framed was so different. And that's me walking out after a very enthralling